Welcome back. While many worry that Turkey's attacks on Kurdish rebels may see the conflict spill over, Turkey is home to a large Kurdish minority, more than 10 million strong, and has previously seen rebel bombings in its major cities. Calls by a PKK commander for Kurds living in these cities to rise up is likely to cause angst in Turkey. Again, Turkey's intervention in northern Iraq is creating difficulties for the Iraqi government and US forces there. The central government in Baghdad relies on the support of the Kurdish political parties in running the war-torn country. And with over 100,000 troops in the country, Washington is desperate to avoid any clashes between Turkish and Iraqi forces. Again, US Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice has called for calm.
We've also been very clear, though, that stability and progress for Iraq is in the interest of Turkey. And so everything should keep in mind that nothing should be done to destabilize what is a fragile but improving situation in Iraq.
Iraq says it understands that Turkey is under attack but urges caution. Yet the Iraqi government spokesman said, "We have told Turkey that the operation should not destabilize Iraq and the region." We're still joined by our guest in Erbil, Falah Mustafa Bakir, the Kurdistan Regional Government's head of foreign relations in Ankara, Halidun Solmaz-Turk, a defense analyst, and in London, Anasa Takariti, a political analyst and commentator. Mr. Solmaz-Turk, in Ankara, the Americans sanctioned the operation in last December. Now they said the shorter the better, as was voiced by Defense Secretary Robert Gates. Aren't you concerned that if it goes on, you might lose the support of your friends, basically the Americans and the Europeans, who were not very much enthusiastic about what's going on?
That's understandable. But one needs to keep in mind that Turkey can have no interest in destabilizing Iraq. To the contrary, what Turkey is doing now, and in the way suffering casualties, is to stabilize, to further stabilize Iraq, especially northern Iraq. And by doing that, so far Turkish armed forces have been extremely careful in separating the local people from terrorist elements.
Mr. Falah, the response from the Iraqis has been very nuanced. For example, Hoshyar Zebari said this is an escalation. Prime Minister said the spokesperson of the Prime Minister said that he understands the action undertaken by the Turks. You're saying this is something wrong. Are there any divisions among you guys in Iraq?
If you be kind enough, give me some time to explain about this problem.
Very briefly, please.
Indeed, Turkey has been pursuing military operations in the last 24 years and did not bring any solution. Why do you think that this time will bring any solution? We in the KRG are a legitimate entity within the state of Iraq. We are pursuing our efforts in order to build a new federal, democratic, pluralistic Iraq. We want to live in peace within ourselves and with our neighbors. We know this is a problem. Turkey has been ignoring the peaceful calls from the KRG to sit down together, find a way for this problem. We are for good relations with Turkey. Indeed, I would like to remind everybody that we have fought the PKK together with the Turkish army in the late 90s. We have given casualties among martyred, killed and injured and disabled people.
Mr. Falah,
what was the result?
The problem is that the Turks don't buy into what you say. They are saying that you provide safe haven for the PKK fighters. They have their own hideouts in the areas controlled by the KRG. So there's something wrong here.
Indeed, they are not. No, this is the PKK presence are the most difficult mountainous snow-covered area in the triangle area between Iraq and Turkey and Iran. We have no presence whatsoever. These villages in that area have not been built because of the presence of the PKK. We have wanted to solve this problem a long time ago. We do not have control over these areas because it's a tough mountainous areas.
Let me go to
We want to solve this problem and we want to find a way out of it.
Mr. Anasa Takariti, sweeping out the PKK is something that has eluded the Turkish army for the last 3 decades. What can they hope to achieve now that everybody knows that the PKK fighters have the hearts and minds of thousands and thousands of populations and villages scattered across all that porous, ragged area?
Well, this lies within the whole scenario of the Kurdish issue, whether it be in Iraq or within Iran or Syria or Turkey. And it's something, once again, I think that the ball is in the court of the leaders of the Kurdish people at this moment of time, particularly in Iraq. The fact of the matter is that this is a very difficult moral kind of question to justify either by the Americans or by the Iraqis themselves. Let's not forget, America went halfway across the world in order to fight a war in Afghanistan, to occupy a country because it harbored one man. So the Turks seriously cannot be condemned by the Americans or attacked by the Americans when across the border, just merely a few miles away, a rebel group are crossing the borders continuously, claiming victims from amongst the civilians as well as its military personnel. So it's a very, very difficult question. Also, the president of Iraq is a Kurd himself. Now Kurdistan is part and parcel of the new federal united Iraq. So it's down to the leaders of the Kurdish people to say, listen, this is a fight we do not and we cannot afford to be immersed in, and make their position absolutely clear.
Mr. Sulmazturk, the Turks had two options. One, to engage the KRG, talk to Masoud al-Barazani and those who have been described as hardliners. And the second option was gunpowder. It seems that it was very easy to opt for the gunpowder solution.
No, I don't think we've got two options. I mean, nobody on the part of Turkey argues that this operation will solve the problem. No problem of terrorism can be solved by military action or without military action. I mean, we need a holistic approach. I mean, this operation are part and parcel of overall military operations and overall anti-terror strategy of the Turkish government. I mean, they are there, we know them. They cross the border, launch attacks into Turkish territory, causing a lot of problems, troubles, casualties inside Turkey. So somebody should have gone there and fight them.
Okay, somebody had to
that's
interfere,
exactly
and we know
what Turkish armed forces is doing now. If it is not the Turkish armed forces, who would fight them? I would like to ask.
Okay, Mr. Falah, you are the head of foreign relations at the KRG. If the operations continue for the days to come, what will be your reaction? Would it amount to more escalation, confrontation, for example?
I would. You know, this is an internal Turkish problem. Indeed, we are suffering from an internal Turkish problem which has gone beyond the Turkish borders and has come to Iraqi Kurdistan, and our people are paying a price for that. We do not want to see escalation. We want to diffuse the tension and bring the situation back to normal. In the last few days, our infrastructure was targeted. Civilians at the beginning of the shelling before the end of last year have been killed and injured. Livestock have been killed. Just 2 days ago, 2 main bridges and 2 smaller bridges and a pedestrian footbridge has been destroyed by the Turkish shelling. We are for good relations with Turkey. We do not want our people to suffer more. But the point is that why should we suffer for a problem that we can see other kind of solutions for it?
We are advocating the diplomatic
political approach will help everybody.
Okay. Mr. Anas al-Takriti, this is a very volatile area that implicates different regional powers, the Iranians, the Syrians, the Turks, the Iraqis, with also under scrutiny by the international community, mainly the Europeans and the Americans. My question is the following: what can the USA and the EU do about this critical problem?
Well, to be absolutely honest, I think that they could do very, very little, simply because of the nature of the parties that are involved. The Americans are quite clearly, they want Turkey to be involved in a wider battle in the war against terrorism. Now we're talking about them being involved in Afghanistan. So they cannot afford to displease them at this moment of time. The Iraqi government is in a very, very difficult situation because, you know, the Kurdish element within Iraq is a very substantial element, and the issue of Kurdistan is a very, very important regional potentially destabilizing matter. The fact at the ground at this moment of time is that unfortunately the PKK are very, very clearly a separatist movement. How do you negotiate with them to abandon that particular fundamental of their ideology?
Mr. Anas, thank you very much indeed. We really enjoyed your insights into the very delicate problem of the incursion of the Turks into the northern parts of Iraq. أنست تكريتي Halidun Sulmas Turk, Falah Mustafa Bakir. Thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of Inside Story. We welcome your comments and suggestions. Please email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Goodbye for now.